प्रोफेसर चतुर्वेदी जी, विराट हिंदुस्तान संगम के प्रमुख पदाधिकारीगण, विभिन्न प्रदेश से आए हुए प्रदेश अध्यक्ष और कार्यकर्ताओं, मंच में मेरे घनिष्ठ मित्रों में से 3 प्रमुख इस देश के बुद्धिजीवी, प्रोफेसर नालापात, गोविंदाचार्य और राम बहादुर राय, इस सभा में गौरव बढ़ाई गई उपस्थिति से श्री पंकज जी, जो प्रमुख विश्व हिंदू परिषद के नेता हैं अखिल भारतीय, और सांस्कृतिक गौरव संस्थान के महेश गुप्ता जी, और हमारे कोर्ट में स्तंभ के रूप में जो वकील अधिवक्ता बैठे हैं, उनका भी मैं नाम लेना पसंद करूंगा, श्री विश्वकरण भंडारी और यतेंद्र चौधरी, और अभी नया कॉलेज से निकले हुए मिस्टर राहुल मचावर, और आप सब लोग अपने इच्छा से और अपने खर्च से और अपने प्रयास से, अपनी व्यवस्था से आप यहाँ आए इस बड़ी संख्या में। ये कोई तो आम सभा तो नहीं थी, ये हमारी संगम की मीटिंग थी, उसके लिए आए, और मैं सबको धन्यवाद देता हूँ। ओके, इंग्लिश, ओके।
Now you can understand why during emergency the entire South voted differently from North.
No. But emergency was declared in English, by the way. Emergency was not something that was suddenly decided upon. In my opinion, from after Nehru's death, the Soviet Union, which had a lot of influence in India, thanks to Jawaharlal Nehru, was planning some changes, political changes in our country, by which this country could be kept in the Soviet camp for a long time to come, as they thought Czechoslovakia or Bulgaria, such countries could be kept. And the first intervention in Indian politics by the Soviet Union was in the murder of Lal Bahadur Shastri. Lal Bahadur Shastri, without doubt, was murdered because his own family members told me that when his body came, it was blue as if it was poisoned. When I asked the members of the family, why didn't you raise it at that time? One of the members of the family told me that indeed Lal Bahadur Shastri's wife, Lalita ji, had raised this. And she was visited by the then Home Minister and Acting Prime Minister, Gulzari Lal Nanda, who told her that please don't raise this because the consequences will be terrible. I, as a friend of the family and Lal Bahadur Shastri, advise you caution. That is why they did not make an issue of it. They recently made an issue, but nobody took notice. The second intervention in our politics, why Lal Bahadur Shastri, in my opinion, was killed was because he had become a hero after the 65 war, and he was not at all in favor of the Soviet influence in India. He had even ordered the preparation for India possessing an atom bomb. And he was a man of the masses. And the Jawaharlal Nehru tradition ran the risk of evaporating. And thereafter, the second intervention, which I will make public now because you are saying I should speak my mind. I may not speak my mind on everything, but certainly this period of history it's easy to speak my mind. The second intervention was in the murder of Deendayal Upadhyay. I have been reviewing some of the evidence and I was surprised to find that the first class bogie in which Deendayal Upadhyay had travelled was of all passengers who had bogus addresses. How can you have a bogie full of 20 passengers and all of them having bogus addresses? This is there in the record. It was shown to me without the permission of the government by an officer who felt that for a long time that somebody should raise it. That they were bogus passengers. No, he said all of them. And that means somebody had planned it. And Deendayal Upadhyay's body was lying on the tracks straight, not in a convoluted way, with his hands crossed and a 5 rupee note sticking out of it. So it was a clear murder, and not that he fell out because he, in the darkness, he did not realize that the platform had not come. Now, Deendayal ji had laid the foundation for the national emergence of the Jansangh. And that meant Hindutva. And that meant 80% of the people at least becoming one. And that meant permanent loss of control of India. And that is why they targeted him at an early stage. Then after, Miss Indira Gandhi split the Congress party. That also was a Soviet intervention. And got a bogus vote of majority. And then went and voted against her own candidate for president and brought in B.V. Giri, who was a known leftist from a long time. So the progress was on. In 71, Mrs. Gandhi took him to her cabinet. People who were left-wing intellectuals like Kumaramangalam, Gokhale, Raghunath Reddy, Chandrajit Yadav, all these Soviet, pro-Soviet, compromise people became part of the government. And then the planning started. The first draft was prepared by Kumaramangalam. But then you see, this country, one thing I am convinced, and I think anyone who visits this country is also convinced, that God is looking after this country. So what happened is that on May 31st, 1973, target date for takeover of India as a Soviet, pro-Soviet socialist republic, a dictatorship, was in sometime in 74. But 31st May 1973, a flight coming in from Madras entered into a dust storm, and that plane crashed in Vasant Vihar, and with it died Kumaramangalam. So there was a setback. But again, the documents began to be prepared by Antule, by Siddhartha Shankar Ray, and H.R. Gokhale. And it was not complete when suddenly a single judge of the Allahabad High Court, he found Ms. Gandhi guilty of electoral malpractice and set aside her elections. And that time there was a national unity to demand her resignation. JP movement had already started by then. I was connected with JP from 1968 when he came visiting as on a visit sponsored by the Quaker Organization of United States. And he came to America, and then he came visiting Harvard University on a sightseeing trip. And I was that time a celebrity at Harvard because they had never heard of an Asian as a professor of the university. They had many Asian students but no professors. So I was known as a man who broke the record for the shortest period to clear the PhD general examination. I did it in 6 months, which people take 4 years. And so it was and I was part of the faculty. So when JP came, the university marshal phoned me up and said, in using American language, there's a bloke called Jay Prakash who's here, wants to go around the campus. Can you, I can't understand his English, can you please look after him? So I said, Jay Prakash, okay, put him on the phone. So Jay Prakash Narayan came on the line. And I said, are you JP? He said, yes, I am JP. He was very happy. I said, you be there, I'm just coming. So I went. Now, in those days, I didn't wear tie and coat and pant. I didn't want to look like a waiter. So I went there in my bandgala, and it was winter. Winter was approaching, so it's a bit cold. I went there, and what do I see in the lobby of the guest house of Harvard? Jayaprakash and his wife Pratibha, I think, what's her name? Pravati. Both standing, waiting for me. And then, as soon as he saw Jayaprakash was very warm, he shook his hands. He said, I'm thankful to you. Then Pratibha, face had fallen. Prabhavati, correct? Prabhavati, her face had fallen. I couldn't understand why. And then she whispered something into his ear. And JP said, I'm just coming back. So he went back to his room. Later on, JP himself told me that his wife gave him a firing. That, see, here this man, he's wearing bandgala and you are in tie and suit and coat. So poor man went inside, took it off and wore his achkan, and he came out. And then I took him around and arranged his public meeting. And he was so pleased that he told me, why don't you come back to India? I said, I'm planning to come back to India. He said, you give me an assurance that before you do anything in India, you will join the Sarvodaya movement. So I said, I will join the Sarvodaya movement, but only temporarily, because my main aim is to teach in India, and therefore I will not get into this movement. So I spent 6 months in a place called Vatalagundu in Madurai district, in the Sarvodaya. It was a hard life, because everybody used to think of Sarvodaya as a joke in that village. Because Sarvodaya meant going and asking people to donate land to give it to the landless. And who's going to donate land? You see. After 6 months, I met JP again. And I told him, JP, your Sarvodaya movement will not go anywhere. In this country is a Ramayana and Mahabharata, which means politics. Both Ramayana and Mahabharata is nothing but politics. Gandhi himself did politics. He didn't take political power. He didn't aspire to be an MLA or an MP or a minister or a prime minister. But he was using politics. And that's the only way this country can transform. When you transform politics, you transform everything else. So therefore you must get into politics. Now this is the end of 1969. I'm almost early 70. JP got angry with me and he said, "You are an Americanized Indian. You get out of here. I don't want to talk to you." Because in a sense I was saying that his life where he sacrificed the offer of Deputy Prime Minister of Jawaharlal Nehru in 1952, he said, "I will not accept that." And he gave up everything and went into Sarvodaya. Then I was in effect saying that from 1952 to 1970, those 20 years were a waste of time, I was telling him. That's in effect. But then in 1970, end of 1973, he called me, he sent me a telegram, he had a heart attack. He sent me a telegram and he said, "Come to Tipponagonda Halli in near Bangalore. There's a lovely guest house, the duck bungalow," and he was recuperating from a heart attack. And I went there and I found all the top officers, officials, office bearers of the Sarvodaya movement assembled. And there was a meeting, and I was, a youngster compared to all of them. And the meeting took place, and he said, 3-4 years ago, this young man, Professor Swamy, told me that I am making a mistake by keeping out of politics. And that time I told him, "Get out. I want to talk to you. Today I want to apologize to him. He was right, I was wrong." The entire Sarvodaya leadership got very upset. No, don't do this mistake. This will be betrayal of Acharya Vinoba Bhave, this, that. I said, no, big changes are coming in the country. And I want to start a political movement, not as a party, but through these young people of this country. And that was a resolution adopted, and that's how JP came to politics. And JP then asked me, I want to make good friendship with Jansa. And that took me by surprise because he was the most virulent critic of Jansa. And Jansa was also a critic of JP. And he said, who should I meet? I said, you meet Nanaji Deshmukh. So the first meeting of Nanaji and JP was arranged by me, and the two became great friends. By May of 1974, it was clear that Miss Gandhi was planning something. And therefore, the question was when. And in 1975, June 12th, this judgment came. And she had to accelerate her plan. It was not that Miss Gandhi was reacting to the Allahabad High Court judgment, but it was a plan with her and the Soviets. Now, therefore, she declared that emergency. I began telling JP that there is a problem. I am getting friends telling me that she's prepared to declare military rule. I didn't say directly, I didn't know. I was told it's going to be a military rule with Mrs. Gandhi as Prime Minister. I told JP that. He said, let us have a public meeting in Ramlila grounds. So that was on 25th. Now, if you see the picture of that, you see me sitting next to JP and Moraji. Now, that time was what? I was 34 years old. Why would I be sitting when there are such big leaders? And if you see the other side of the picture, you'll see Nanaji, you'll see Raj Narayan, you'll see lots of Nana Gore, all that. That was because it was decided to hold the meeting, and Madan Lal Khurana was given the charge of organizing the meeting and mobilizing for the meeting. And the time fixed was 5 p.m. So everything decided, and then Nanaji called me up on the 23rd of June, and he said, Babre Bab, please help me. I said, what? He said, these two Buddhas, they are got into a quarrel. I said, which two Buddhas? He said, JP and Moraji. I said, why? He said, because JP said, who will come at 5 o'clock to the meeting? It will be so hot in June, so I'll come by 7:30. Moraji said, no, we must be particular about time. Moraji was a very punctual man. You see, maybe I got that bad habit also from him. And Moraji said, no, if you don't come exactly at 5 o'clock, I will quit the meeting. I will not come. So Nanaji said, मैं भी नहीं कुछ कर सकता हूँ. You please talk to these two people. Both of them like you, so you go and talk to them. So I did this to and fro with both of them. Both of them giving me lectures that you don't understand anything, you're Americanized, so on, there's Shishtachar, this, that, all. Finally, Moraji melted and he said, okay, 6 o'clock. I went to JP and said, please, 6 o'clock. JP was much more accommodating. He said, okay, 6 o'clock. So that's how Nanaji said, I can't sit next to them. You organize that meeting. And that meeting turned out to be historic. But you see, after the meeting, JP took me to his house for dinner. And he told me what's going on. I said, very soon military rule. He said, no military rule. The whole country will rise in revolt. You saw that Ramlila ground meeting. How can anyone dare now? You see, nothing of the kind will happen. Well, at 5 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call that that is the SHO. I was living in those days in Greater Kailash. The police, the SHO phoned me up. Said, Swami Sahib, आप घर में हैं? I said, हाँ. ये 5 बजे क्यों phone किया आपने? He said, are you at home? I said, yes. At 5 o'clock, why have you called me? He said, no, I have to meet you very urgently. If you are at home, I will come and meet you. If you are not at home, I will take some other date. Now, the funny thing, at 5 o'clock in the morning, an SHO telling me, if you are at home, I will come to meet you. I thought it was a hint, so I left the house after getting quickly dressed into kurta pajama and went off. And I went and hid in a friend's house in Gold Market. And then at 8 o'clock, Mrs. Gandhi announced the emergency. A day later, one Swayamsevak came, and I don't know how he located me. He must have got it from my wife, who knew where I was hiding. And he said, Nanaji is waiting for you in New Rajendra Nagar. So you have to go. So I went in his motorcycle. I went to Rajendra Nagar, and Nanaji and I came together. And Nanaji said, you stay with me. I don't know how to drive a car. I can't risk keeping a driver. So you must be my driver. So I was Nanaji's driver from 27th June 1975 to 24th August 1975 when Nanaji was arrested. But in those 2-3 weeks, Nanaji toured around the country. Of course, I gave him a disguise. He used to have some hair here. I said, shave it off. Then he had white hair. I said, make it black and put on a thing. Then I gave him a false Hitler moustache, which he put here. And he was looking like a very different person. And people like Nasli Wadia. And Nasli Wadia, you must know one thing about him. He is the sole surviving descendant of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Muhammad Ali Jinnah married a Parsi woman, and they produced a girl. That girl married a Parsi instead of a Muslim. And then, despite Jinnah getting very upset and all that, and then she said to Jinnah, I think your idea of Pakistan is crazy. I will not settle in Pakistan. I will settle in India. And her son is Nasli Wadia. Now you can see the founder's only surviving descendant is a citizen of India, while against the wishes of the. That was the kind of commitment this Wadia family had. and they helped tremendously to put together an underground organization. And I must say, to the credit of the then General Secretary, Madhav Mule. Madhav Mule had a team, of course, Morapan Pingle, Baburao Moge, Bhaurao Devras, the brother of the Sarsang Chalak, who was in jail. And all these people got together, found Swayamsevaks who are in different parts of the country. And in my opinion, the reason we won in North India and not in South India was partly due to the fact that the RSS organization was strong in North India and weak in South India. So if the people of South India didn't understand the dangers, although there was as much torture in South India, in Kerala, one fellow even died in torture. I know how many Vidyarthi Parishad boys whose bodies were burnt with cigarette butts and torture, broken bones. All that took place in South India. But there was no propagation of it. And the reason there was no propagation, the total propagation of the material was done by the RSS, and it was the RSS organization which came into being that we won the election, otherwise we would not have won it. And if you want to remember the emergency, I have told this in a letter to the Prime Minister. Please give Bharat Ratna to Madhav Mule and people like that who worked in the underground, taking personal risk and brought about this change. These are people who worked and they looked after me. So because Nanaji got arrested, then what? Then I was working alone. I was a Sardar that time. I had a dadi and all that. And then one day, through my wife, Madhav Mule tracked me. And then he asked me to meet him in Villeparle in Bombay. I went and met him. And he told me that JP is saying that Swamy ko Hindustan mein nahi rakhna hai. That is, JP was saying, don't keep Swamy in India. He's useless here. He should go to America, England. He should address the the press conference with the Voice of America, BBC, these kinds of things. And then people will hear it here. Here, who is going to listen to whatever he is saying against the emergency? It's a waste of time. Send him abroad. And that is how Madhav Mule told me, all right, you go abroad, and our Swayamsevaks are there everywhere, and they will look after you. But before going, I asked my wife whether she will go and do a reconnaissance. She will go and examine whether there is these Swayamsevaks or not, and whether they are ready to fight. And then she went and did a trip and came back. She said in United States there's Jitendra Kumar and there is Mahesh Mehta. They are ready, all fired up to work. America looks very promising. But England, you'll have to give a little more strength, because in America, they're all professionals, they're very well paid and they're well to do. But in England, most of us are shopkeepers and things like that. And so they were naturally of a much more diffident mind. But once I went to England, they found it quickly, and then in England we had a demonstration in Hyde Park. So the whole thing began to bloom. But in the meantime in India, one after the other people get arrested. So after Nanaji, Dattopant Thengri got arrested, and Dattopant Thengri is probably one of our greatest labor leaders that have been produced. He is also, in my opinion, a person who should get the Bharat Ratna. He worked very hard but got arrested. And slowly George Fernandez got arrested. So on, people are getting arrested every day. There was no activity. So all the activities I was doing in America was practically over. I had to prove to the people that it's not only smugglers and racketeers who are in jail, but JP is in jail, Moraji is in jail, they are in solitary confinement, and there are 140,000 people in jail without a trial on the Misa draconian law, and therefore that propaganda spread. But the American view was that these third world countries are all becoming dictatorships. India is also one more dictatorship. Why these poor people will, they want to fill their stomachs? Who cares about fundamental rights and all? Forget about it, Swamy. Sit down, come back to Harvard, start teaching again. In fact, they gave me back my job also. So I didn't have a problem of living in America. But I felt that it was wrong. There was something, we can't do it. We can't allow it to collapse. So what to do? And suddenly it dawned on me that everybody says Mrs. Gandhi's grip on India is very strong. I knew that the Sangha had a strong organization. So how do I demonstrate that? So then this idea came that let me come back to India and to demonstrate that I'm back in India, I should enter Parliament and make a short speech, because if I just signed the attendance register, they would have destroyed the attendance register, and so Swamy never came. So I must appear on the floor of Parliament and make a short speech so that it gets recorded in the tape recording of all speeches in Parliament. It becomes a part of record, and it just be then projected abroad. And the only way it could be projected abroad if the foreign press in Delhi could come to the press gallery of Parliament, of Rajya Sabha, and see me come in and then report it. Then it would be successful. So I sent, those days there is a gem of a person, another golden person in the Sangha Karalaya called, not the Karalaya was of course taken over, she was also hiding, Chamanlal ji, his name was. And Chamanlal, oh my God, I think he should have made him Minister for Post and Telegraphs if he was ready. He was so efficient. Every letter he used to find a courier, and the courier from the courier he used to come. And he also used to collect information and tell me. For instance, there were 2 attempts on my life made when I was one in London and the other was in America. And I would have been killed but for the warning that I got from Chamalji, that so many people are coming, they have been sent, and they would, and this is of course on the orders of Mr. Sanjay Gandhi. Had I known you at that time, I might have told you, please tell him, don't be fooled. But I came to know Nalapat afterwards, and I must say that he is one of the fiercest, most independent, fearless intellectual I've ever met. And he has sacrificed his entire career for speaking the truth. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi went after him to see that he doesn't remain. He was editor of Times of India at a very young age. He was removed because Miss Sonia Gandhi made that a condition, because he said that she wants to enter politics. At that time she was pretending to be a sannyasi who was not interested in politics. And so he has been throughout sacrificing for the country. So I'm getting back to the point. The question became that the letter came to me warning me of the attempts at my life. So I said I have to do something. So I sent word through the sources of Mr. Chamanlal to Madharavji that I want to do this. I want to come to India, enter in Parliament, and then escape again. So Madharavji said, if you do it, I'll personally hug you when I see you. But you have to do it alone. Because if we help you do this and you get caught, then the entire chain will be exposed. And then our whole organization will suffer. So if you go to Parliament, make a speech, come out and meet me in Bombay. Then after that, I will be responsible for you. I will look after you. So that's how I decided to come. Now, how to come? Because my passport was cancelled. And, and Mrs. Gandhi, if she knew that I was coming to India, she would put police in every corner of India to find out I'm coming. I would be arrested at the airport. So how to do it? So those days, I found aeroplanes flights used to come hopping. They never came non-stop to India. They came hopping. So there was a Pan American, that airlines is no more. There was a Pan American airline which stopped in New York. From New York it went to London, London to Rome, Rome to Ankara and Karachi, and then Delhi. And then from Delhi to Bangkok. So now, this is the flight I have to take. Now, how to prevent my name coming on the passenger list for Delhi? That was the question in my mind. Because they were looking only at the passenger list, used to come by telex in those days. And the immigration used to receive that passenger list, and they would look at the passenger list. Now, I could not afford to travel on a false name, because if they had caught me on a false name, they would have killed me there. So I had to travel on my own name, and that too a cancelled passport. But it was cancelled, but I didn't hand over the passport, so they couldn't put a stamp on it. And therefore, to the ordinary immigration authority, it looked like a valid passport. So I came on the Indian passport. I bought a ticket for Bangkok. So what happens, when I land in Delhi, my name is not in the passenger list, because I am not getting down in Delhi. So in those days, what they used to do, those days they would make you get down, take you to the transit lounge. There's something called a transit lounge, and new passengers going to Bangkok, they would be brought in also at the same time through the customs, and then all of us together would board the flight for Bangkok. That would be the procedure. So I got on the plane. I got on with my pajama and kurta and no baggage, none whatsoever. And so I sat in the flight. The flight landed in Delhi, and we got down. We were all taken to the transit lounge. And once in the transit lounge, there was no advance information that was coming. So police and all, there was nothing. It was 3 a.m. in the morning, and there was only one constable sitting at the door of the transit lounge, which if you went in, you would go to the immigration. So once everything settled down, I walked through the opposite direction. I mean, most people would come this way from immigration through the transit lounge. I went from transit lounge in the opposite direction. So at the immigration council, there was one police constable. He looked at me. Now I'm in kurta and pajama, and I took out my Rajya Sabha pass and showed him. So he saluted me. See, he thought I was some youth Congress worker. You see, who has come to see somebody off. So those days airports were very small, so I crossed, and when I went out to the terminal, taxis used to be standing just just outside the door of the airport. I took a taxi, went to those days we were living, as I said, in Greater Kailash, so I went to this hotel Ranjit in Janpura. Is it Ranjit or Rajdut? Rajdut in Janpura. Those days there was no checking, there was no terrorism and all that. So I went in, I pulled out my American Express credit card. So naturally the Rajdut, the hotel people were mighty pleased. So they gave me a room. Then I phoned up my wife and said, please, of course I disguised my voice. I spoke in an American accent and all that, and said that in my cupboard, in the house, I have a pagdi still there, ready-made pagdi of the Sardar, and a bogus beard, and a glass. You bring that to this hotel at breakfast time. And then after that, you go back and I will come at 10 o'clock. So she said, will you come up and what will you, there are police sitting outside. I said, yes, I will come as a Sardar. I will get some box I'll buy in the hotel shops. There's some box, I'll buy a box, look like a toolbox. And I'll knock on the door and say, you open the door and I'll say, aapka television kharab hua hai. So you should say yes and come in. So I'll come in and nobody will take notice. They'll think that I've come to repair television. And she said, why 10 o'clock? I said, because 10 o'clock there's a change of duty. At 10:30 there will be a change of duty of the police. So I came at 10 o'clock as a Sardaji, and I rang the doorbell, and she opened it. They are all sitting outside my gate on the charpai playing cards. They are bored. They know, wow, you can't sit day and day on doing nothing. Playing cards. They looked at me and then didn't take notice. I went to open the door. I went press the bell. She opened the door. I walked in and I said, "Aapka television kharab hai?" She said, "Ha, that is your television out of order?" She said, yes. I said, then I've come for that. So she took me in and then locked the door. Now there's a change of duty at 10:30. Now these people, naturally, I was lucky. They didn't tell koi Sardaji andar gaya hai, jiska thoda nazar rakh lo. I mean, there's a Sardaji who's gone inside, keep an eye on him. They didn't bother. They thought it was routine, you see. I stayed 5 days in my house. So, because the police used to come every day to take a report from my wife. Have you seen your husband, etc. In fact, they were chasing everybody. I had one girl of 5 years old, and another was of 2 years old. Gitanjali and Suhasini. Now, one day, the police went behind my elder daughter, Gitanjali. And then after which she was going to school, Sardar Patel school, and outside the school gate, they said, I want to ask you a question. So they asked Gitanjali, have you seen your father? Because we are looking for him. So she said, yes, I saw him last night. This was fortunately before I came to the house. I mean, it was 1 month before. And so the police raided the house and everywhere surrounded and all that, searched every nook and corner. So my wife said, I've told you he's in America. Why are you all the time bothering us? They said, no, your daughter told us that she saw him last night. So my wife called my daughter and asked her, did you tell the police that you saw your Appa? In Tamil we call father Appa. So you saw Appa last night? So she said, yes, I told him. She said, why did you tell a lie? She said, no, it was not a lie. I saw him in my dream. They never asked me where you saw him. So like that, there was all these dramas going on. And they didn't pay any attention because these false alarms will come many times. So on the 5th day, which was the opening day, the 10th of August, from 5th August to 10th August, I was in my own house. And the 5th day I came out and I sat in my car. I told my wife also, you sit next to me and we'll drive out. We drove out. Now, and of course, that time I was in kurta, pajama, because I couldn't be Sardar anymore. In the parliament, they will not allow me in. Now, these people, police people were sitting outside, they were looking at me. Now, they couldn't decide, but they were too bored. You see, one of the things I noticed is the police motivation was zero. So, unless somebody goads them, hey, go and do this, check there, they won't take initiative. So, they went back to playing their cards. I drove down the car to Parliament House. And in those days, you can park it just next to the door of Parliament. And I told my wife, you get down and you go to Birla Mandir. If I am successful, I'll come out, drive this car, and I will park it in the Birla Mandir parking lot. And I'll put the key under the mat of the car. And then there will be spare clothes. I took spare clothes, shirt, pant, Sardarji Kada, Gandhi topi, and zero power spectacles. So I said, I'll change into my clothes and then I'll leave for the railway station to go to Bombay, because I had seen the railway timetable, everything was perfectly fitting for 12 o'clock. Parliament was at 11 o'clock, within 2 minutes I had left, so by the time I reach it will be about 11:45, so I'll catch the train and go to, that train was going to Mathura, and Mathura the GT would be coming, that was a passenger train, so GT would come, I'd catch GT and then go to Bhopal from Nagpur, and from Nagpur I will take a Bombay train. That was my plan. Now, those days I used to never make reservations, because reservation makes then you inform people. So I used to jump on the train and then show my parliament pass. So I used to get priority. And all these conductors and all, they were not at all motivated. And even if they recognized me, they were not going to tell anybody. So anyway, I went after I walked into Parliament, and everybody sitting there, Bansi Lal, Om Mehta and all these people. And when I sat, they were all looking stunned, and this man was reading the last name, so the timing was perfect. As soon as I walked in and sat, the last name was read. Then I got up and said, Mr. Chairman, he was the president of the, vice president of the country, Jatti, B.D. Jatti, big darpoke, you see. I said, Mr. Chairman, I'm on a point of order. So he looked at me and he looked frightened. I thought he would, his false teeth may fall out or something like that. So he said, what is it? I said, during the intercession period, democracy has died. And it is not there in the list. So that's my point of order. He said, no, there is no point of order. I said, then I'm walking out. Then Jatti says, everybody stand up for 2 minutes silence. Now all these people are stunned, they don't know, they were under the impression I'm abroad. And Om Mehta was so scared that he started sliding under the seat. Later on I asked him after the emergency, why did you slide on the seat? He said, I thought you were coming with a hand grenade and you had your hand in your pocket. So when I had entered Parliament, the watch and watch staff recognized me, that's why they let me in. But they said, Swamy Sahab, chut gaye. That is, Swamy, you have been let off. I said, let off? Nowadays, all you have to do is sign 20-point program and you will be let off. I didn't say that I was let off because I signed the 20-point. I didn't tell a lie, but I misled him. By saying anyone who can sign a 20-point program is let off. So he said, okay. But the police constable who was standing there, he started telephoning. But he must be, the warrants were never in the hands of police. They were always in the police station. So he was phoning up the Parliament police station. So I knew I had about 5 minutes time by which he would contact the police, because that day I also had advance information that Sanjay Gandhi was addressing a 2-day session, 9th and 10th of August, on Quit India movement in Pragati Maidan. And those days you didn't have any cell phones or anything, so all the police would go and sit in for security duty of Sanjay Gandhi. So they all would be there. So this constable will never be able to get his SP, you see, because he will not be there to pick up the phone. So that will give me some time. So I walked in and sat in and then walked out. And now the watch and watch staff is convinced that I have signed the 20-point program. When I was going out, he said, you did the right thing, Dr. Swamy, by signing here. Why be in jail for nothing? And so on. So I said, yeah, it came away. And I sat in my car, went to the to Birla Mandir. There I changed my clothes and then I went to the railway station. Railway station, the police is full force. Everybody they are looking at. But they are looking at for me in kurta pajama. Now I am in pant and shirt, Sardarji Kada, Gandhi Topi, looking like a youth Congress gunda. So I thought I'll take the attack. I said, I caught hold of the sub-inspector, I said, ये क्या बदतमीजी चल रही है यहाँ? Well, what is this nonsense going on? I asked him. He said, no, what is the problem, sir? What is the problem? I said, I have to catch this train to Mathura and I have hardly 5 minutes left and you have blocked everything. What are you doing here? So he said, no, we have come to catch somebody, we are looking for somebody. But I will take you, escort you to the railway station. And he took me and he cleaned up one upper berth and he said, please, you can have a good, nice sleep because it will take at least 6 hours to reach Mathura. So I went and climbed up and went to sleep. Now, I have nerves of steel, obviously, because I was not tense at all. I had a nice sleep. And before Mathura, I got down and sat in the seat. There was a local train. So there were so many farmers and they are getting in, getting out and so on. And they were discussing that, this emergency is hopeless, it is useless because we can't even meet our MLA, there's no one to talk to. If we go to police station, they'll put us inside. They come to our house and raid because for this sterilization, there's a quota system. So to fulfill the quota, they pick up anybody. My grandfather of 90 years has been picked up and has been sterilized. These are the things they were discussing. So for the first time, I got a direct evidence that emergency has become unpopular. So I went to Mathura station, got off, and then I went to the telegraph station, sent a telegram to my wife. The books have arrived, and so that she knows that I have reached Mathura. And then the GT came. I climbed on the AC first class, and I showed him my pass, and he gave me a berth in a coupe. It was a four bed cabin, but upper two were empty, and I got one of the lower. There was one other person who was the other side, and he began asking me, who are you? I said, I'm a professor at Harvard. Not a lie, because I was. He says, what do you teach? I said, economics. He said, I said, who are you? He said, I'm IG of police of Madhya Pradesh. But he had obviously not heard of me. So we chatted, and then I said, I'm feeling sleepy. I went to sleep, and Bhopal he got off. And then Nagpur came. Fortunately, as I got down, from the other platform, the platform had two places for the trains. So as my train came in, the Bombay train came in. So I got up in that and went to Bombay. And in Bombay, I was given the address of Ved Prakash Goyal, father of Piyush Goyal. I was to come reach there. So I went there. There was a Swayamsevak sitting there. Madhura kept his work, promise like clockwork. And because if he had not come, I would have been arrested. So what would I do? I have my in-laws' house are there in Bombay. I could have gone to it. But then, by then the search would have started, and they would have raided all our known residences and so on. But Madhura kept his word. I'll never forget Madhura Modi. So there, that fellow Swayamsevak, he took me to Vilepale, and there Madhura Mule, Bhaurab Devras, Bapurao Moge, Morappan Pingle, all the top RSS people were there. And literally, they were so emotionally overjoyed. They said, this is the first event where people, now we are telling our people, see, we told you, so as the organization is ready, we'll do something. Now, after that, Madhura Mule took me to Pune, and then in various Swayamsevak houses stopped. And this one point, I'll obliquely confirm Ram Bahadur Rai's point, not directly. But what happened is, suddenly one day, Nadaralji comes to me, brings me to his place where he's staying. I said, Swami, you go back to America. So I said, why should I go back to America? There's nothing there. You see, what will I argue there? People think I've come to have fun. He said, no, you go back. I'm ordering you to go back. So I said, something has happened? He said, yes, something has happened. What? He said, this Nana Gore, Ashok Mehta, they are negotiating a agreement with Indira Gandhi. And that agreement will mean that they will endorse the emergency and also denounce JP. So, and one of the conditions is going to be, we have got information, that Miss Gandhi will say Swamy should be made to go to jail. That should be the condition. And I know she hates you so much, and her son hates you so much, Sanjay Gandhi, that if you go to jail, you will be minus kidney, pancreas, lungs, everything. You will not come out alive. So I don't want that to happen. So you go. So I said, how do I go? Every police station, everything has my photograph, you see. Wanted, and I had a 12,000 rupee reward, which was the highest. 10,000 for Sundar Daku, by the way they killed, and 2,000 added by Parliament, you see. 10,000 was the maximum on the IPC, So he said, no, you find some way. So I said, there's only one way. That is that I get to Nepal. Or the Nepal king allows me to be put into a box, and I be taken as cargo by Royal Nepal Airlines. So only the king can tell you. So he said, do you know the king? I said, yeah, he was my student at Harvard. And please go and ask him. So he sent Bhaurao Devaras all the way to Nepal. And Bhaurao Devaras took all the risk. And he went to Nepal, he spoke to the king, and the king said yes. And of course, that time we had a Swayamsevak called Tulsi Giri, he was prime minister. So he spoke, he said, of course, he's my teacher. I'm ready to do anything for him. So Balaji said, this proposal is this. So he said, no, this proposal I can't do, because supposing I get caught, then Indira Gandhi will invade Nepal. She hates him so much. We know it, our ambassadors have given reports. So that I can't do. If he comes somehow to Nepal, then I will take care of him. I'll see that he goes to anywhere he decides. So the message came back that I have to go to Nepal. So Madhava said, don't worry, I'll give you a Swayamsevak and you go by car from Pune all the way to Gorakhpur. And he's from Varanasi, so he knows the route. So I went by road all the way to Gorakhpur. And we timed it to be 9 o'clock in the night. When we cross something called Bhairava or something. Bhairava. So I reached the gate. Now at 9 o'clock the gate closes. So just about 3 minutes before 9 o'clock, they're all busy packing up their things. They had no advance information. I must congratulate the RSS, because so many Swayamsevaks came into contact with me. Some used to bring my letters from my wife from Delhi. Some used to come to give me newspapers and all that, wherever I was hiding. Nobody knew where I was. And they were hunting for me in all countries of the world. They were arresting anybody with the name Subramanian who came from abroad, who was going abroad. They arrested, the police later on told me they arrested 300 Subramanians. So they were mad, they were really upset. You see, they attached my property, everything, So now, when I reached there, I was wearing Nepali cap, Nepali clothes, everything which Madhavji had got for me. So I just walked across, and they were all not busy. I mean, they were all busy with packing their things. As I crossed across, the king's men were there with their aeroplane. In Bhairava, I had an airport, and I went to Kathmandu. And then I spent a night with one of our swamsevaks called Jha. Yogendra Jha. Jha. And he was a great help. And next day, the Royal Nepal Airline took me to Bangkok. Now, I chose Bangkok because from Bangkok there was a flight which flies over India. Otherwise, the flight should land in India. There was one which flew over India and went to go to London. So I said, Bangkok can reach me. So the Royal Nepal Airlines took me to Bangkok. When I was in Kathmandu, Kedarnath Sani had also come. So Kedarnath Sani said, you also take me. So I made him as an associate, took him, and the king also agreed, and we went to Bangkok. And Madhavaji told me, when you are in Bangkok, there is such and such shop where one Mr. Jain is running a shop. You go and tell him to give you money, and he'll give you money for the ticket. Because how to buy a ticket, that was the question. So he said, both for you and Kedarnath Sani, but Kedarnath Sani wants to stay a few days in Bangkok, so you get money for the ticket. So I went to that shop. Now, in the meantime, the Indira Gandhi could not catch me for August or September, October, to the middle of November, 3.5 months. So she was being made fun of by all these international press. What kind of emergency is this man? Is a proclaimed offender, highest reward. He walks into parliament, makes the speech, disappears. They irritated them so much, and so she was getting very agitated. So she moved a resolution in Rajya Sabha expelling me from parliament, and there were big headlines. You see, constitutional dictatorship. So she said, well, first of all, there was so much pressure from abroad, and two, you had done this drama and you made, So I began to believe what previously I did not believe, that the RSS has established a huge underground organization, and one day there will be a coup. And these intelligence agencies also, were unhappy with the emergency. So they were egging on, saying that no, RSS is spreading very far. It's got now in 16 countries, this, that. And of course, there are swamsevaks everywhere. So therefore, I came to the conclusion that these people are so demoralized. So let me hold an election and win it. And the intelligence bureau had told her that she will win 380 seats out of 544. So she took that risk, and that's all. Then she said, I have to ask you a question. So she said, I said, what is it? She said, how is it that after all the precautions I took, all these RSS people escaped? They went underground. I should have caught all of them, and I was told by the police, everyone will be caught. And no one was caught. What was the secret? I said, your mistake was that you declared the emergency at 6 p.m. You declared the ban on RSS at 6 p.m. You should have declared it at 1 o'clock. Between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock. She said, why? I said, see, at 6 o'clock they're all in shakas. Between 1 and 2, they're all sleeping after lunch. So you have caught them lying down. So therefore, and then she laughed and she said, I can tell you that their organization is the only reason you people won. So I will say this in brief. I took a lot of your time. Morarji Desai would not have been the Prime Minister had I not intervened. JP had great love for me. He everywhere in that time, if you see pictures, he had taken me to every meeting. It was decided that Jagjeevan Ram will become the Prime Minister. And in the Jansangh Parliamentary Party meeting, I objected. I said, this is a man who moved a resolution for the emergency. We have won because of it. But the minds of all the socialists, social engineering and all this business, you see, we cannot have a Brahmin as thing, this whole being thing, it's all between the Brahmins. Indira Gandhi is a Brahmin, this man is a Brahmin, Moraji is a Brahmin. That got nothing to do with it. He was the only one who sat in this solitary confinement for all 18 months. Moraji is the only one who was kept for 18 months, 20 months of the emergency in solitary confinement. And he refused to agree to any compromise. I will not agree. He was very firm. I said, this is the person who should be rewarded. Now, the question was how to get Moraji accepted. So we had to create a crisis. Now, I don't know how much I should tell, but I went to Charan Singh. Charan Singh had great liking for me, and said to Charan Singh, सब लोग तो जगजीवन राम को बना रहे, and this man didn't even pay income tax and all that. So Charan Singh said, nobody told me this. I said, no, they will suddenly announce it in parliamentary party. So of the Janata Party. No, ये नहीं हो सकता. So I don't know why Charan Singh had this strong dislike. So he said, no, I will not agree. So I said, can I tell JP that you will not agree? And that there will be a crisis if there is a parliamentary party meeting. So JP also was not too much in favor of Moraji because that I told you that Ramlila ground incident, always quarreling with people. So I went to JP and told him that first of all, for whatever my opinion is worth, I am not in favor of Jagjeevan Ram becoming Prime Minister because he moved the resolution for the emergency. Otherwise, he's a very efficient person, he's a wonderful, nice man, all that agreed. But he cannot be because of this. This will be a betrayal. And I'm telling you, I said, that Charan Singh has just told me, I will oppose it. JP said to me, Charan Singh, I know he's got caste prejudice. He says, usko kaisa banayega? Chamar hai, usko nahi banaunga. I said, no, he didn't say that. He said, I will not agree. No, I know what is in his heart. So I said, doesn't matter, JP, but there will be a crisis. So he said, what should we do? I said, you start working on consensus. Because Jagjeevan Ram had majority. Let me tell you, he had majority. Because Vajpayee had supported him. And he was going to make Vajpayee, I think, Deputy Prime Minister also. And Nana Gore, Madhur Limai, everybody was supporting him. Bahuguna. So he didn't have majority. So how do you defeat a majority? So I said, work for a consensus. So JP and Acharya Kripalani, and Kripalani was a very great fan of Moraji Desai. The two of them then decided that in the larger interest of the country, Moraji Desai should be made Prime Minister. So I can claim that I not only made Chandrasekhar, but I also made Moraji Desai Prime Minister. I think it's in my Jadagam that I will make Prime Minister but not make myself. Anyway, this is the whole thing. Now, the real question is, what was the mindset? Why I am talking about VHS and mindset? Mindset is very important. I keep repeating and repeat again. 1,000 goats will have numbers, but one single tiger can scare them. Why? Because of goat's mindset. You can have a strong, well-fed lion, 5-6 lions, but they will obey the orders of a thin ringmaster who enters and tells them, climb up on the table, they will climb up. Like Manmohan Singh, had a very powerful chair, but one Sonia Gandhi would say, utho, baitho, and they would do it. Because the mind is like that. The mindset in the emergency I saw is everybody ready to surrender. Everybody means I'm talking about the intellectuals, press people, all across the board. So it's only a few people who fought. And of course, as I mentioned, of the organizations, only one organization, that was the RSS. So in that context, today we have to develop a mindset that we will oppose any curb on our freedom. But freedom doesn't mean absolute freedom, because the Constitution says there are reasonable restrictions. Nobody can say, I have freedom to say India should be divided. There is no such freedom in the Indian Constitution. It is barred by Article 19, bracket 2. There, you can't say, I will eat narcotics, I will take drugs. This is my freedom. No, you are not allowed, because under section under Article 25 and also under Article 19, you cannot do this because this will affect public health. So there are freedom, yes, but that freedom within the framework of the Indian Constitution, we should not allow anybody to say compromise. And this habit that take the riskless path, that is the main problem with our people. And the younger generation keep telling, you must learn for a value, you must take a risk. And the risk is you could win, you could lose, but you should not be afraid of both. And Gita, that's why is so important to read, because it tells you that your mind should be so framed that you recognize your freedom of action, but the fruit of that action, Krishna says, I will decide when to give you, in what form. If you have that mindset, you will never be afraid. Will I win? Will I lose? That kind of thing will not come. So we can, if you want to oppose the state, you must have that kind of thing. I don't think the Indian Constitution can now be used for the emergency the way Mrs. Indira Gandhi used, because we brought in that amendment that there should be a armed rebellion for emergency to be imposed. So now that's impossible. So therefore the old method that the president signs and you can suspend fundamental rights is all gone. So through the Constitution it will not come. But through your mind, this impact of using the media to think that you should fall in line. For example, this Raghuram Rajan case. And the whole media was motivated by forces outside this country to support him. They said the stock market will collapse if he goes. The stock market will not collapse, it's gone up in fact after he left. He was harming the Indian economy by raising interest rates and making it impossible for small and medium industries to take loans from the banks. So, but the way they made out, I said, I'm some devil, and this man is an angel who has come here from abroad to save us. That kind of thing. The same way all these activities that are taking place, where they say saffron, extremists or the fringe groups and so on, these are all being done to shape your mind, to be embarrassed about being a patriot in this country. So that is the main thing. Your mind is the best protection against another emergency. And you must know when to fight. And when you are going to fight, not think of whether I'm going to win or lose, but that I have to win. That mindset if you have, then God will be with you and another emergency will never come. Thank you very much.